During the pentagram rite, I felt something move through here. In the first reading, I saw a faint blue cup, sort of like it had a composure of chalcedony. In the second, there was a pointy purple blob, sort of a deep shadow sort of thing, about, there. And then it took its place inside of the mirror. And then there was a colorless shadow upon the floor. Inside the mirror was the cup again, and the blob was in the cup. And as I did the reading to follow, it was like there was a silence that formed up above. And gradually, as I moved through these 5 volumes before you, there was an enveloping thickness around the space of operation. And I saw light. And this light was seemingly not associated with the lights in the room. First it was before, then it was above, and then it shone from behind. Now, it appears I read these volumes in reverse order, but by the time I had finished the 5 sets of vibration before getting to these volumes, I felt buzzy and I felt a trance. And when I read these volumes, it felt like there was a movement over the temple. Sometimes it was as a scratch. Sometimes it was as a wiping over of some sort of cloth. Sometimes it was as a whisper from the floor. Sometimes it was as if it was booming sounds. And I felt prickly by the end. And it felt like something, happened that I couldn't quite perceive. Now, I'm not going to flip through all of this, but this is an interesting show of inside making it look like it's outside, And as you may know from my channel video, if you're a subscriber, that I talk about that number and some things that it represents. The interpretation of the devil card of the tarot is not the usual one. They're listing it off as a thing of balance. We see in this first one talk about duality, talk about karma, and being a world savior. And there's sort of an overall general theme of like 70s style art and sort of an almost emptiness to it all, but yet a presence for those who don't want to be alone is the message. In this issue, we have auto-defecation. We have the return to darkness. We have an illustration that kind of connects the third eye, maybe to a dark mirror. We have the idea of myth as something true in a way, even when it's a lie, but we need to figure out what the truth is behind the lies. Find freedom here, because if you leave and go to another planetary system, you still have to deal with some of the same stuff. Social media and consumerism becomes, almost empty, you could say. And the matter in itself is not the thing. Be ready to evolve and do your own work. Father Amanda and Brother Octavian are considered as examples. The artwork, whether literary or these odd collages or whatever, were selected for, I guess their meaning or example. There is more power in working together or seeing yourself as a collective, at the least. There's sort of an idea of nostalgia for a past, whether one was actually part of it or not, and a future, and perhaps substances to go beyond the mundane sense. There are mysteries everywhere, and we can take part in them. Being stuck in the mainstream is how to, waste our lives. And there's this icon, the weird eye thing, and I've seen that on another spiritual leader. And so then we progress through seasons in these final 2 issues. Death is never the whole story. There's a continuance. The processes have, their not so apparent importance. There is the path of the crowd and the light, perhaps the more powerful path of the personal ritualization. There is the destruction without and the death within. The death that leads us. There is the basic work of life and a sense of engaging myth on various levels, and how the ancient societies have something to teach us. Through the fire, entities are served, and something joins, or we join, as the fuel for something beyond us, or reference for something other than us. Acknowledge what has been done. Be ready to transform. Be ready to receive the messages. There is truth presented as if it's fiction. There is a sight on different levels than our material sight. Identity can be sidestepped, and it may be that the shapes are as real things. Live your own life rather than referencing someone else's. Bring the cosmic life into what seems as barren. Theology is not what you think. And those who run things are also not.